My name's Travis Hubber. I'm an application specialist in the IT department. My specialties are training and support. They have a problem, Blackboard, come to me. All right? And I'm situated at Southern Institute of Technology. So our main campus is right at the bottom of New Zealand. We cater to just over 12,000 students, and about half of them, roughly, are distance students. So we use Blackboard quite heavily. And recently, at the start of the year, we acquired a new campus called Mainz. Now, Mainz is an audio campus, so they specialise in music, audio engineering, so they're quite creative people. Now, there was a problem with getting a whole new campus. They were on Moodle, and they'd been using Moodle for a very long time. And so there was a divide. Our LMS was Blackboard. We're a sole LMS, and we don't want to have another one running around up the top. We want just a consistency across our organisation. So there was a divide there, and we had to figure out a way how to get them from where they were comfortable over into Blackboard. So when you're trying to build a bridge to get over these sort of problems, you sort of got to know where you're starting from. So we did a bit of research and we found out that they'd been using Moodle for 10 years, right? That means a significant amount of investment, both in data and in skills as well. But it wasn't all just good, you know, the investment. There was some negatives to that, and that's where we sort of try to capitalise to push our sort of agenda. They had a ton of manual process, so if you had to enrol a student, had to go in there. There was about 5 hours roughly for each tutor to have to manage their own course over a semester to get students in and out and all that sort of stuff. So, and also tracking the grades out was a manual double entry process. So, good news is, with Foundations, we knew where we wanted them to go. We had Blackboard. We've standardised our courses, so it was a really good benefit because their Moodle was sort of everywhere, as Moodle courses tend to end up. We had automatic enrolments and transfers, saving them time, so they didn't have to worry about all this sort of fiddling around with getting them in and out of all these different areas. And it was integrated to our system, so we had other things talking to it and back. But we had a little bit of a problem, well, not a problem, more of a challenge. At the start of the year, we had switched over to Ultra navigation, so that meant that we had the opportunity to put them over into Ultra courses. Okay, so we did a little matrix. We decided, hey, look at the what is original doing well and what is Ultra doing well, and sort of compare the two. And what we found, it was sort of a bit of an even playing field, but there was one thing that we were considering above all, is that our eventual plan was to go to Ultra courses across the board. Now, we didn't know when that would be, but when you've got change or you're coming in and doing massive change, you want to limit the amount of changes that you're making. So we had the philosophy of training once. All right, we didn't want to have to go up there every year to train them on a whole brand new system and confuse them and get them rolled up every single time we came up. So with that decided, we'll ignore the technical side of how we actually got them from there and there, because it's going to be different from any institution. So we'll dive straight into the staff training. So what I did, so timing is everything with training, and for us, we only actually had a week to do it, or just under a week. I had to go up there and over 4 days convince them of not just how to use Blackboard, but also 7 other major applications and all the different facets of them within that time. So it was quite stressful. So how I did it was using workshops, you know, the classic go through and set them up, show them how it works, get them to play with it a little bit. The one-on-one support, so a tutor doesn't really know how to use the mouse wheel that well, so coming in and giving them the upskill to get to that point where they needed to be. And also my personal favourite was champions. Now this is our key, this is how we actually convinced them to go. Because with Moodle, there were a couple of users up there that had really pioneered or pushed the Moodle experience. They were like, yeah, Moodle can do this, Moodle's great and awesome. So we identified those and we converted them. So the reason why we went with champions is for 3 reasons. We wanted them to lead by example. We wanted to say, all right, so this is the tool, this is how I'm using it, come along, follow along with me. We wanted to reinforce the training because we weren't going to be there constantly to reinforce the training. After you leave, oh, how do I do that again? They can go off to Joe, who knows what they're doing. All right. The last one was immediate triage, sort of a combination of both. With immediate triage, we didn't want the help desk to be flooded with, oh, I don't know how to do this, how can I do it? So we wanted to empower them to answer their own questions within the context of their environment as well. So what makes a good champion? This is one of the things that we had to figure out. They need to be open-minded, all right? And they don't have to be a technological expert. And that's the key. If you can convince somebody that doesn't really use a computer well that this tool is awesome and get them using that tool, people that do know how to use computers well will look at that and go, oh, you know, I can do that, you know, and convince themselves to go along on that path. The go-to person is also quite a handy person, but they also have to be locally based. They can't be the person over in academic support or in the IT department. They have to be within that sort of area so that when they see that problem, they know how they can apply it to the tool. So, how did it go? Well, blue essentially is harder. So we asked them metric here. We asked them, so around their marking, their uploading and managing content, their navigation, and the, what was the last one? Navigation and communication, that's right, skip back. And we found that of these metrics, they found, they said to us that it was easier to use across those three things, except for communication, which I think is a little bit of an ease of access thing. They weren't quite entirely sure of how to use the communication tools. But this was just a simple metric, a sort of a scale. How easy did you find it? So we asked them, essentially, what LMS do you prefer? And this is where we actually found the most information. One of the quotes that I like the most, I won't read them all, one of the quotes was, if Blackboard Ultra had more features, it would be as good as Moodle. And it's not a bad thing. You'll notice that there's a trend here in these quotes that they like the idea of Ultra, but it's when it comes to the daily tasks, the particular nuanced issues that they're trying to deal with, they weren't quite able to leverage the full power or potential of the tool, and they sort of had those barriers and fell off. Ultra looks good, but it's like a demo with missing features, so it's hard to judge its final potential. I think it's important to note here that it's not a negative statement, it's more of a, I hope that in the future it gets better. And we're seeing that all the time as well. QQ. A recap. When you're an early adopter, bugs will happen. You'll encounter issues with things not working, you'll encounter issues where you'd expect this to just to constantly stay there and then it won't. It's not always sunshine. But I'd like to raise from there is thank you very much to the support team. They've been really helpful in resolving these tickets. And also, missing functionality. If we were to recap all of our lessons that we came from the transitions over from Moodle into Ultra, it was the fact that they thought there should have been more there. That's just part of being an early adopter. You sometimes a bit earlier before you get to that extra little bit of functionality. Not a complete deal breaker, since they didn't know that in 9.1 you could have done this. So it wasn't a, oh, but you've put me on the wrong thing. We kept them deliberately in the dark of 9.1 so that they would be easier to move over. I'm going to go into conclusion. It's pretty fast, so I sort of want to do more Q&A. We had a week to do this. We ripped the Band-Aid off. So some institutions of hearing is wanting to do it across the whole length of time, and absolutely, if it works for you, definitely do it. But consider that if you can get it down to a limited time frame, you can deal with the issues. And it's not that hard to deal with them. Don't be afraid to take the technological leap. It's not actually that bad. It works. There are some real good positives with it. The students are finding it nice and easy to use. The staff find it nice and easy to pick up and run with. It's the fact that they're hitting that barrier of the end of the runway and they sort of want to keep going. And that's really exciting. And that change is quite daunting. But by convincing the people in the environment that are going to go, oh, I don't like it because this isn't what's going to go, I like this tool over here. Convincing those people is key to actually getting everyone else on board. Right, okay. So they're getting that nice and short, because I want questions. So do you have any questions?
How did you do course migrations, or what did you do?
So that will be different for everyone. We decided to use a blank template right from get-go with a couple of structures in there to work on them. So in their Moodle environment, they had tons of content which was out of date. So you sort of roll it over and you sort of just put it in a whole folder of 2016 and 2017 and 2018. We decided to go through, and some was like in zip files and zip files. I think we had 5 levels of zip files in there at some point. So we didn't want to just grab all the content out, and Blackboard does do scripts to help you get those content out as well. But we wanted to go through and actually clean it up as we were going through and tidy it up and put it in our SharePoint environment. But then we just gave them the blank template, showed them the drag and drop stuff. They loved that, which is great. And they were able to jump in and build up their own courses. It also gave them a chance for a fresh view of how to deliver their course. So we decided better than putting them in sort of these clear cut, you must do this, this, and this. We sort of said, well, here's the basics. Here's how you do it. What do you want to do with it? And we let them do it as well. Any other questions?
So is it just the users that are on your Mainz campus that are now on Ultra, or have you brought the 9.1 Learn users over as well?
So we have. So we've actually done so one of the key things when you're having a LMS is consistency across the board. We asked the students, what's the best thing about Blackboard? And one of them was like, oh, when it's consistent. And then the other was like, oh, my courses aren't consistent. I don't like that, you know. So we didn't want to, if we were going to move a program, we had to move the entire element. We've done a couple of tricks here. We've, for our courses, so like Accounting 101, we'll have it in 9.1. But we also have a program level course, which all the students, regardless of what paper they're in, are in. And we turn those into Ultra to help them get used to the idea of it, because it was a different purpose. It could have been a different design. We did roll over a few of our other 9.1 courses at the start into Ultra. Unfortunately, there were a couple of hiccups, so we did have to roll 1 or 2 of them back. But we are rolling a fair amount of courses now on there, and we've got about 150 courses on Ultra entirely. Yeah.
Okay, and of those, so the people that have come, so obviously the Moodle people, they, you know, I missed this from Moodle, I missed that, whatever, you know, they're adapting. The ones that have come from the 9.1 Learn, what would you say were maybe the key tools or the key pieces of functionality from 9.1 Learn Classic to Ultra that people are missing in that transition, you think?
I think the first one would be test polls, which is coming. The next one on the list would have been student preview. That was one of the things that they really wanted.
That's coming as well.
Yep, and it's coming. So these are the cool things, is that as we're raising these issues, we're actually looking at the roadmap and going, oh, actually, yeah, it's going to be addressed. And the staff are understanding that, sure, and that's where they feel like it's a bit of a demo, which is not. It's fully functional. But they felt it was just a little bit... I really want that now, sort of thing. But the software development, you can't have everything today, sort of thing. Yeah. But if I had to say, it would be student preview and question polls were the first 2 things.
Yeah. Okay, that's not too bad then. Okay. Because as you said, both of those are coming, so yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Just one question. How did you go about selecting your champions? What
so our
criteria did you use to spot them out?
So we asked them, well, we went undercover a little bit and sort of asked them, who's sort of your Moodle person, who's the guy that does your support day to day, and we targeted them and said, hey, look, would you be willing to be like a point of contact for the rest of your school, because you've already been a point of contact before. We also found a couple of people that were enthusiastic about change. They were looking at, because Mainz was in a little bit of a tight spot, and we won't go into detail too much, but they were in a little bit of a financial tight spot. So when we came in and sort of saved the day, if you will, they were like quite enthusiastic about, yeah, okay, there can be more change. We gave them things like they only, in terms of history and technology, they only had an email address and Moodle. They had no other systems, and we had all of these other things that we could offer them, and they were really excited about it. So we found the people that were excited, and we were asking them, oh, can I do this and that, or can I do that? And we captured them and we turned them into champions as well. We had about 4 of them up there now, which are just like really running with it and trying to do the most they can. Does that answer your question? Awesome.
Travis.
Hi.
Thanks heaps for coming all the way from Invercargill to present that. Fantastic. One of the questions I have, going back to the Moodle tools and things.
Yep.
I've done some research across most of our Moodle institutions, and 99% of them are only using 10 key tools in Moodle. From your experience saying that there's a lot of tools available in Moodle, but not many in Ultra, what were the ones that they were targeting that weren't in Ultra?
We never got any specifics. Now here's the thing: they were saying, "Oh, I do all this." And actually, some of the specifics were boiled down to question polls and stuff that were already being addressed. But I think it was because, see, Moodle is massive. It's got a lot of all these features and people developing things, and then that's one of the benefits of it, is that you can do a lot with it. But it's really quite a complicated beast, and I can tell you from experience, they didn't really use any of those tools. But they knew that they were there, and it was that perception that was the thing, which is why you see it quite easy in the numbered results of how easy it was to actually use. They were finding it Ultra is as easy or easier than Moodle. I think really it's their perception of, if I ever wanted to do this, I could have done it in there. But over time, that sort of will disappear, I think. Yeah. Any other questions?
I've got one, Travis. So I think it's really unique being the first SaaS client in the ANZ region. I think you've got a really unique situation because you're not only the first SaaS client, you then got people moving from 9.1 and also from Moodle, right? So really unique situation. Support. You mentioned the training, the champions, etc. What about the support after that migration?
So with the I give them there's a little card that I have, and it's got a QR code, and it takes them directly into my calendar, and they can book a one-on-one session. And in that point, we use Collaborate, which is quite cool. We use Collaborate, and we deal with their problems. So if they're not quite sure about how to do something, and they may not try it, champions are effective sometimes not, they'll come to me, and I'll give them the one-on-one support. We've got a help desk, 24/7 help desk, which can help at any point as well. Really, though, it's with them, we try to encourage, hey, if you've got a problem, speak up, because a lot of the times they had, in their previous environment, they had an IT team that wasn't the, to their words, wasn't the best. And we come in and we're like, well, whole bunch of new tools. If you need any help using them, contact us and we'll help you after the fact as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Fantastic. Cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, just one other thing. With your Ultra environment now across where you're using it for courses, both for the 9.1 and the Moodle, do you have any large class sizes? And if so, how many? So where I'm from, QT, we've got some classes that are 1,600 or 1,800, and obviously that's challenging. The perception would be with, say, we feel as though something around the 400, 500 is about, Do you find the Ultra interface? Have you got any big groups, I suppose?
So we have a couple of big courses, but they're only teaching on over 100, and at that point it's too much. Jim did mention there is plans to help with the management of that sort of stuff. But in a usability point of view, if we had much bigger, we would then be encountering more problems than we are at the moment. But I believe that's being addressed in the future, hopefully, too, as well. But we don't have any big courses like that. Sorry. For what we've got, though, they are working pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly around grade centres and things like that where pagination, you've got 70 pages or whatever, or those types of things, whatever. But also, I suppose, we've been just using Collaborate. We've got the stream dot chat down the side is just a flow because there's so many people and that sort of thing. So, anyway, thank you for that.
Any other questions?
We've got one more question down there,
Yeah.
It's just a follow-on question from his question, just in regards to the support after it's done.
Yep.
How big is the team of people who sort of help? Is it a large team, or because we have a fairly large amount of schools that we cover, and I'm trying to think of how we would be able to do it, and we're finding it a little hard at the moment to support academics as well. So because we had a big transition in our university of support and everything, so just trying to...
Okay, so we have 4 people on the help desk between 7 to 7, and then after that, after hours help desk, so 24/7 coverage of that. For technical issues, for I don't know how to do this with Blackboard, or can you give me a little bit of extra help with this, or I need to do this, and so on. Those sort of training support, and they sort of give me a little bit of a hand getting this done. 1.5 people. It's over about 600 staff. The way we manage that is by having quite open availability, and also leveraging the sort of self-help tools that they have. So using those champions, because it's one thing to say, oh, just go to the IT department and they'll sort of solve your problems. But that's additional layer on having to do something. When somebody has a problem, they want it dealt with then, and they don't really want to have to bring up the help desk. They have to go in and book a time and stuff. So if they know that George over there really knows how to actually use the tool, they'll actually go and say in lunchtime and say, hey, how did this work, sort of thing, and so on. So if you do, I would recommend Champions as personally my favourite, is because it really does lower that immediate triage, that immediate like, how do I do this? And it also really does reinforce the, oh, these people are doing it, so I'll do it as well. So yeah, that's my suggestion, if that helps at all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I think we've run out of time. Travis, thank you so much today. Really, I think your case study is not only unique, but being the first mover, first contract, most aggressive, and I'm really pleased to see the success that you've achieved. So thank you. And you've come the furthest distance, I think, of any of our clients. So thank you so much. Thank you all.